what I said before is not something about setting an impossible standard for things. I'm not talking about, setting some standard of honesty that's just ridiculous. I remember one time watching something on the Oprah Winfrey show. It must have been about 20 years ago or 25 years ago, and it was this guy was talking about being honest all the time. You can't do that. You can't just tell everybody. It can't be like in that movie Liar Liar, where everything you say, you can't help it, like if somebody put a spell on you and every word that comes out of your mouth is the truth. You can't do that because, the thing is too, there are ways you can tell the truth. You can tell the truth in different ways, and it can be the truth. But what I'm really talking, the point that I'm making about that is to tell the truth in different ways, is you can say something. Like one example I remember in some book was talking about, like if a doctor were telling someone they're diabetic, you could tell someone that you have this terrible illness, you're diabetic, eventually it's going to lead to this and that, and it could lead to complications and amputations and blindness and this, that, and the other thing. And whatever. You could tell a person a certain way and make it just sound like the most horrible thing in the world. And then there are other times you can say it a different way too. You have an illness, but with proper treatment and control, you can live a healthy life. You can do this, you can do that. And you can talk about things in a very positive way, and everything you say is the truth. You're not lying and you're not distorting things. It's a matter of being sensitive about the way you say things, not so much about whether you're telling the truth or not. That's one part of what I'm saying. Okay, the other thing is this. What I'm primarily talking about is being honest with yourself. We all say things to ourselves, and we kind of lie about things. We sort of say things that aren't 100% really the case. When I talk about being an artist, I do my artwork like this. Here's one of my little pieces that I just painted on paper. It's nice. I like it. It's fun. It was fun to do, and some people might even say, "Wow, it's very colorful and beautiful and whatever." But I do it because I enjoy it. And see, I think that's what it is about me and my paintings, for example, and with a lot of my writing, because I do a lot of writing. I just have never published anything. The thing is that I do it because I enjoy it. But I know that what I do isn't really, at least I don't think, and maybe I should be honest and I'd say I know that my stuff isn't good. I just don't, I don't think that I'm that good at the things I do. I just don't think so. And I'm always careful about that, because I have been around so many people who, like for example with learning languages, there are people who, if they learn how to say one sentence in Spanish, they swear up and down they're fluent in it. They walk around bragging about how good they are at something or whatever. And I just never wanted to be like that. I mean, I work at what I do. I work on my language abilities in Spanish. I spent a lot of time when I went to Japan learning how to speak Japanese. And I'm not fluent in it, and I barely knew probably about 12 words in Japanese. But those 12 words, when I was in Japan, believe me, I got the maximum usage out of those 12 words. The thing is, it's probably more than 12 words, but I'm just saying that sort of half jokingly. The thing is that there are a lot of times when being dishonest leads you to stress, and here's how. Here's how it happens. See, the thing is that when there's a split between the real world and the world of how you perceive it. And our language actually shapes how we perceive reality. If you think you have abilities that you really don't have, there's going to be a conflict. Your perception of things and reality are going to be off-center. And I don't want to sound new agey, but it's the truth. It creates this off-centerness. It's kind of like if you learn math in a bad way. It's like if you were taught that 1 + 1 = 3. You're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a hard time doing your taxes. You're going to have a hard time when you go to the store. You're going to be in constant arguments and conflict with everybody. Because how you perceive something is not just based on what you take in through your senses, but how you process it in your mind. See, there are a lot of people who think that they're very good at things, but they really aren't, because they're not really honest with themselves. They don't step back and give an honest assessment of how things are. And I do that. I step back and say, okay, I enjoy this art. I get very emotional, and I get emotionally. It's almost like a drug thing when you and it's not drugs, but it's like a drug thing when I'm getting into my art, because when I'm painting and doing something, I'm almost like in a whole different world. And I love what I paint. You know, there is this thing some guy talked about called the IKEA effect. You know, I'm not going to explain that. You can Google it up and look it up. I don't even feel like putting things in link bars because I'm too lazy. The thing is that this thing where whenever you create something, you always think whatever you created is the best of something, when in fact it probably isn't really. You know, we have a higher than normal assessment of our own stuff at times. You know, and the thing is that sometimes you have to stop for a moment, take a deep breath, step back, and be as honest as you can in assessing what it is that you've done or what you are doing. And I think a lot of people don't do that. They don't stop and think about what they're doing. They don't give an honest assessment of their own work. I even think about my videos. I know a lot of videos I made are crap, you know, but I leave them up there, even the crappy ones. And some of them I made I think were pretty good. The one that my most popular video is kind of crappy. Actually, I won't say I hate it, but I don't really, you know, sometimes I look at the numbers. I like the numbers. You know, I wish that, for example, the one where I talked about David Hume was the one that was getting 76,000 views. I wish that some of my other ones, when I talked about, you know, standing up for what you believe in, I wish those were the ones that were getting, but I have no control over what people like. I leave that video up because, yeah, I like numbers. I'm not going to lie about that. But the thing is that it's really about being honest with yourself. Because even if other people don't like it, fine, let them not like it. But what's important is that when you're honest with yourself, it's just like learning mathematics the right way. If you can actually function in the world a lot better when you're honest than when you're dishonest, because it does distort your perception of things. And you don't even notice that distortion, except you notice that you're constantly in conflict. If you're living in a world where you are in constant conflict with everybody, sometimes you have to step back and ask, you know, is it that the world is all screwed up and got it all wrong? Or maybe I've learned something the wrong way. And maybe I'm thinking about things the wrong way. And you have to kind of look at that. I know it's a lot more that I could talk about, but I don't want to, because it would take forever, and I'd have to make a million videos about every little detail. But it's just that. It's like being honest. Just be honest. That's all. I don't know if this makes any sense or whatever, but that's all I have to say.